Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Gen Politics. So it seems there's increasing evidence that Obama made up the whole Russian collusion hoax and then used it as an excuse to spy on the Trump campaign. And Trump has gone so far as to say this.
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up all the way going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. You know, when we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level.
So yes, if Obama is guilty, there should be an investigation. There should be a prosecution. But I think we all know that that's not going to happen. Like, can anybody actually see Obama in an orange jumpsuit? I mean, Trump even released an AI video of him getting arrested and being in prison. That's not going to happen. Now, he said that, well, I didn't go after Hillary because, you know, I wanted to move on as a country, you know, kind of unify, and that would have been bad. And yeah, that's totally true. I totally understand what he means by that. But I think there's another part of him that's just weak. Like, he just won't do it. There are people who are clearly above the law in this country, and that certainly includes presidents. I mean, I don't think anybody on either side really... Do you really think Obama is going to go to prison for 10 years or 20 years or whatever the maximum penalty for his crimes, if prosecuted, would be? I don't think so. I think this is, more than anything, what's two parts. It's one, it discredits the Democrats, right? Trump was right. Obama, you know, made this stuff up. They, you know, there's this whole collusion on the Democrat side to push the story in the media and the lawfare, this whole story about Trump working for the Russians, discredit Trump, all that. I think it makes the Democrats look bad. That's one part of it. The other part is it's a very nicely, conveniently timed distraction from another high-profile case, which is the Epstein case. So as soon as that reached a boiling point, as soon as the American people have no faith in the government anymore, they want a bone to chew on. They know that there's corruption. They know there's problems in the government. Trump says, well, it's not me. It's actually Obama. And we're going to go after Obama and we're going to prosecute him. Now, if that's true, if all this Obama stuff is true, that's great to go after it. You know, that is great to bring to light, great to prosecute him. But if Trump is just doing this to avoid talking about Epstein, if he is just going to edge his base saying, oh, am I going to arrest him? I might arrest him. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. You know, if he's just going to edge his base and say, oh, we're really going to go for law and order in this country, and then gets to the point and then Obama, nothing happens to him or Hillary or anybody else, it's going to look even worse for him because it'll be another instance of him talking big and, you know, over promising and under delivering. And I don't think the Epstein stuff is going away either. Like, we can have an investigation into Obama and we can find out who the Epstein clients were. We don't have to pick one or the other. You know, that's not how the justice system works. Not how it should work. But it seems a very conveniently timed distraction. And Trump is now, anytime he's asked about Epstein, it's like, okay, but Obama's the real criminal. It's like, okay, but that's two different stories. And in fact, it actually leads more credence to the conspiracy theorists, because it's like, hey, a former president of the United States was just totally manufacturing government documents, allegedly, and had this whole, organization going to in cahoots with the media and the press, and they were covering the stuff up, and they were lying, and they were manufacturing stuff. It's like, okay, so that same government didn't do any of the stuff with Epstein either. Like, it was impossible to cover for Epstein, impossible that, any of his contacts were in the government, and, it doesn't make sense, right? You can't have both. You can't say the government is so easily corruptible when there's this cabal of people working in the background to do this thing that helps Obama, but at the same time, it's not possible that Epstein was working with any of those people or had, any connection at all or any ability to hide his nefarious deeds. So that's what doesn't make sense here. And the American people, they don't believe this. Like, they're not, I don't think, really falling for the one or the other as much as Trump wants them to. And we can have both. We really can. So Trump has got to deliver on the Epstein stuff, a real delivery. I mean, they keep kind of putting out pieces of information. They say they don't have anything, then they release something else. Then they say that they don't have anything, then they release something else. And it always ends up being nothing. And nobody's asking. The excuse they're going with is, we don't want to re-victimize people. No one's asking for the names of the victims. No one's asking for their pictures. They just want to know who were the victimizers, who were doing who were the people committing these crimes other than Epstein and Ghislaine. That's all they want to know, is the names of those people. And the Trump administration is like, well, we don't want to victimize them either. It's like, okay, well, then we're going to get nowhere. So if this Obama thing plays out and nothing happens with it, which is the most likely scenario, because we all know presidents are above the law. We all know these people are above the law. Worst case scenario, they get a, nice slap on the wrist, 1 year of house arrest or whatever. Can you really see any, like, Comey and Hillary actually going to prison, physically being in prison for 10 years, 20 years? I don't see it. I don't think anybody sees it. I don't think Trump has the will to do that either, even if he, even if it's true, even if his base wanted him to. I don't think he wants to do something that divisive, because he is a former president and he is liked by a lot of the Democrats. And I think a lot of the Democrats would kind of say, who cares, that they were spying on Trump's campaign. I think the country's so partisan that people care less about that and Obama breaking the law than they would about Trump arresting him for it. They would see that as the more partisan, divisive thing. And so I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Finally, though, I want to make one more point related to this that I haven't seen anybody else make, which is that if this whole story is made up, the whole Russian collusion thing, then no one was colluding with Russia. We have villainized Russia in this circumstance as like a convenient, adversary. We need a villain for our made-up conspiracy. Let's pick the Russians. And I think that has severely hurt our relationship with Russia. We already didn't have a good relationship with Russia. There are certainly bad things about Russia. It is a kind of a corrupt country. They do a lot of bad things. But we don't need to go further and make up bad things they did and hurt our relationship with somebody who could be a great ally in the world, right? You would rather have Russia as an ally than an enemy, because you could work together on creating peace in the world. You could actually work together towards scientific innovation, space exploration. There's a lot of stuff we can do together if we had any amount of trust in each other's countries. But at the moment, we don't. And I'm not saying that's for no reason. Like, there is bad things Russia did. I mean, Russia going into Ukraine, regardless of the reasons, still not the best idea. But if we had a good relationship with Russia, we probably could have prevented that anyways. I mean, Trump has always said that, but the reason Russia went in is because they didn't want Ukraine in NATO. Well, we were trying to force Ukraine in NATO. If we were allies, if we were friends, if we had some amount of trust, if we didn't at every single circumstance say we need a villain, let's make Russia the villain, then these situations wouldn't happen. It's The dialogue we could have is what's important, and that's what keeps, events from escalating. Now, how could you possibly ever reach a resolution if you'd ever talk to the other side? But ever since the Cold War, we treat Russia like garbage. We treat them like a villain. We created NATO to counter them. Well, to counter the Soviet Union, which isn't even around anymore, but we still have it because we still don't like Russia, just because we don't. Every villain in every movie is Russian. Every evil thing that any politician's colluding with or whatever, it's Russia. It's Russia's fault. I think that's a problem. And I think this should hopefully make people realize that, okay, maybe Russia isn't responsible for all the world's problems. They definitely are responsible for a fair share. They definitely do bad things. This is not in defense of anything Russia actually has done that is bad. This is just to say that we are creating an enemy in Russia that isn't there. We're creating a boogeyman every time we do this stuff and say, well, Russia was colluding with Trump to, steal an election when they weren't doing that. So I would like to see a better relationship with Russia. I would like to see a better relationship with China. The better relationship you have with these countries, the less likely you go to war. For some reason, that's a controversial take, is to say like, hey, I want a good relationship with every country. And I think there's a lot of good that can come when you have what will basically be the three world superpowers in this multipolar world working together. And China, or in Russia, we're a lot closer to just culturally than we are to China. We could get along better. And I think Russia doesn't hate us. They don't, despise us to their very core. They don't like us, but why should they like us as much as we should like them? If we never talk, if we always say saying bad things about each other, nothing good will come from that. So I hope Trump, if he is serious about this, if he goes after Obama, and if he actually brings up the Epstein stuff for the truth of it, I hope he will also go farther and say, like, as a country, we're sorry for making up all this stuff about you, Russia. We would like to have a better relationship. We'd like to have better dialogue. We do want you to end the war in Ukraine, but we would like to at least be on speaking terms. We want you to not isolate yourself. We do not want to continue to isolate Russia away from the rest of the world, because it just creates problems, right? Isolating people is never a great idea. And that's kind of what we've done to Russia, and we're trying to do to China. It pushes them together. It pushes them against us. Doesn't end very well. So that's my thoughts on this. You made all the way through the video. I appreciate it. If you like the content, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And thank you for watching.